So by this point, you've probably made a lot of money and you're wondering, okay, well, where do I spend it? Where do I invest it to multiply it, to make more, right? And there's not a lot of people, at least that I've seen, I don't know, maybe there is. If there is, please tell me. But I haven't really seen anybody to break down what they've actually done for the last 5 years. Where have they actually put their money to get wealthier, right? Now, this video, funny enough, yes, it's about where you should potentially look at investing in your money, but it is not going to be about crypto, this fund, this hedge fund, and all this bullshit, because I didn't do that. I done none of that. Sure, now, like 2024, I play around with a bit of crypto here and there, but that's not how I got here, right? So in this video, I'm going to tell you guys my own personal story on where I put my money. And this is actually from a tweet that I done. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, at Marcus Hustle. It's actually where I put all my brain dumps on a daily basis, and you can see more of the behind the scenes. But this is basically a 10-part tweet thread that I made. And I literally just broke down at what stage, where did I put my money, what did I buy in order to get to where I am now. Now, if you're brand new, maybe you're watching this on Twitter, maybe you're watching this on YouTube, and if you don't know who I am, I'm a normal kid from Latvia. It's an Eastern European country. I immigrated to UK when I was only 10 years old with my mum. My parents decided to break up when I was 10. Shit happens. I moved to the UK. Also, a bit before that, Latvia is a very poor country, if you didn't know, by the way. We grew up on like a farm. There was about maybe 100 people in a little town or little village that I lived in. So that's how I grew up until the age of 10. Then I moved to the UK. I lived in a council estate. And if you're in America, it's basically the equivalent of the projects, right? Or a hood. Yeah, that's kind of how I grew up. And unfortunately, my pops passed away when I was 18, which then left me with just me and my mum. And I had to make money, right? I had a few online businesses. My first ever one was like a creative agency. So I was filming videos and photos for local businesses. And then I started a marketing agency, done that for a bit, done a little bit of consulting. And then now we run an OnlyFans Management agency. Now this video isn't to tell you about my business and all this shit. I have tons and tons of, that's literally what my YouTube channel's for, right? So if you want to watch that, there's tons of other videos about that. This video, I think is super, super informative to people who are early in their stages in finance and making money, because I never watched a video like this. Like I said, there wasn't anybody who told me, what do I buy? Where do I put my money to actually multiply it and just scale my income? And like I said, I'm not going to be talking about bonds or invest into this project or crypto here and there, because that's not what I done. So let's just jump into it and you'll start to understand. Also, I'll leave this tweet thread down below so you can check it out and follow me on Twitter. Thank you very much. Cool. And this is in a chronological order from broke to where I am now. So, number one, I heavily invested into mentors and courses, as many as I could find and afford within my budget, because I knew that with the right knowledge, I could save so much time and avoid mistakes. So even from the absolute beginning, I just knew that with the right knowledge, with the right skill sets, you're able to save so much time, because if there's somebody who's living the life that you want to live, he or she has probably made all of the mistakes that you're probably going to make. And if you just speak to them, they can help advise you on what to do and what not to do to save so much time. And this is kind of from an early stage. I think this part, a lot of you should be able to relate, is the fact that this is what made me, a lot of people are like, oh, were you always entrepreneurial? What made you want to start making money? It's a pretty simple concept. This is just how I always internalized it as a kid. And again, for a bit of context, maybe this is important. I'm an only child, right? I don't have brothers or sisters. So I was always like in my head thinking about shit, right? Because I had nobody to talk to as I was growing up. So I always thought, ever since I was a young kid, who do I want to be like when I grow up? You know what I mean? And I always thought like my teachers and certain people, etc. I just never found anybody that I was like, I want to be like you, until you start to see online like all these like influencers or like these celebrities or whatever, they're living this cool lifestyle. And I always thought, well, that's kind of a bit more, that looks more fun. That's what I'd want to do. And it wasn't really about the money as such. It was more like, who do I want to be like when I grow up, But obviously, yeah, 18 is when I really started to go, okay, I need to make money, right? And I knew as well that if I just speak to somebody and if I get as close as possible to a mentor as such. Now, obviously, when I first started, I had about maybe £400 in my bank account. Didn't have a lot of money at all, right? I was a fucking random broke 18-year-old, same as most people at 18, right? So I didn't have a lot of money to invest into courses and etc. So what I did do is I watched a ton of YouTube videos. Like I only watched actual informative videos on YouTube. I didn't watch none of this bullshit about like Logan Paul or whatever. I don't know, some bullshit, right? I only watched informational videos. I watched every single webinar you could sign up to. I downloaded every free lead magnet you could, and I was just reading through them. I was joining free Facebook groups. What else? Oh, and obviously reading a lot of books as well. So when I was like 18, 19, a little bit of 20, but mainly 18 and 19, I read a lot of books. And that's kind of where I found my mentors as such, right? Until I started making a bit of cash, I obviously then straight away invested into courses that had a community. That's the real key. The courses as such, most of them are bullshit, but it's more so the community aspect. That is where the real value is. You get to connect with like-minded people. And not only that, all these other people are also most likely in a similar stage as you, if not a little bit further. So you can still talk to them. They can give you a hand up and, again, save you from making those mistakes and save you a bunch of time. So that was number one. I heavily invested into mentorship and I just started to learn as much as I humanly possibly could. Number two. So now that I started making a little bit of money, number two was equipment. So once I made my first £3,000 a month, I brought a laptop. Then I bought a desk, then I bought a chair and a pair of headphones. But the tools are only as good as the person using them. That is why knowledge comes first. And it's so true. There's that saying, which is, I don't even know what the fuck it is, to be honest, but it's like, the tools are only as good as like the person using them, right? That is in a nutshell. I don't even know, what is the saying? Anyway. And also, this is going to be a one take. I don't want to do any cuts on this video. I just want to kind of talk and share my entire journey, right? Because I think a lot of you guys will find value in it. So anyway, number two, now I realize, okay, so I'm making a bit of money. This is kind of making sense. I got the proof of concept. I got a few clients here and there, but the tools that I'm using are so shit. Like the laptops were so slow, they were breaking down, etc. So yeah, I bought my first laptop, which is actually this photo here. So this is when I was still living in a house share. This was like a 2004, 2003 MacBook. It was like so loud, like the vents, because it was so old. The vents were so loud that when you turn it on, it sounds like a Boeing 747, like taking off in my bedroom. You can see still all my books. I think that's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I also have 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Anyway, I had a bunch of books in there as well. But yeah, so that was a laptop. I found it on Facebook Marketplace. It was like £200 if I remember correctly. Then also a desk. The reason why I say desk is because at the time I was so broke that like I only had like this one rundown little desk that I think I found from Facebook Marketplace at the time as well. And by the time I put it in my like bedroom, like to use, the legs were like so wonky that if you put your arms on it like this, the table literally moves from left to right. So anyway, and the chair was super uncomfortable, and back was in pain, all this stuff. So by this point, I'm like, right, if I want to carry on like making more money, aka still like sit here and do deep focus work, I need to be able to, I wouldn't say even enjoy, like I wasn't even enjoying it at that point, but just at least like I'm physically not in pain, right? So yeah, so that was it. So number two was laptop, a pair of headphones. Also, the reason why I bought a pair of headphones, by the way, is because I was living in a house share, like I mentioned. Again, if you're not from the UK and you don't know what house share is, it's basically like a big house, and there's like 9 bedrooms, for example. No, maybe that's too many, like 4 or 5. And every room is rented out by a random stranger, right? And there's just strangers living together. The reason why you do that is because instead of renting an entire apartment for yourself, you just rent a room, right? I could have probably just said I was renting a room. That would have been easier. But yeah, and it was just super cheap. I think it was like £400 a month, just that one room. And because I was living with random strangers, there's always some bullshit conflicts going on. There's somebody upstairs smoking weed. It was just like, it was horrible. So I'd put my headphones on and I could just shut off all the other background noises. Also, there was like road next to me, so there's always cars going past. It was just, it's giving me PTSD even talking about back in those days, but it was fucking horrible. Anyway, so that was number 2. Number 3 were softwares. So different online tools that can save me time. So like automatic lead scrapers, automatic meeting reminders like Calendly, etc. And this saves you a lot of time and you can focus on what really moves the needle forward, right? So yeah, for example, one software such as Calendly. So Calendly, I mean, I know surely most of you guys know what that is, right? It basically sends out automated emails and text message reminders for your clients, and it just improves the show up rate at least ever so slightly. And then at this point as well, if I remember correctly, I was running paid ads, so I was doing like a paid ads agency. I think it was called D7 Lead Finder. If I remember that correctly, you can Google it. I'm pretty sure it's called D7 Lead Finder. I remember it was like $120 a month or something, and it would like, you just press a button basically, and it would just scrape like thousands of leads for you. It was just game changer back then. I don't even know if it's still a thing. But anyway, tools, right? Softwares. This saved me a lot of time and just fast tracked for me to be able to do what I actually wanted to do, which was, by the way, the back and forth outreach, the Zoom call sales calls itself, because I couldn't outsource that at the time, and obviously the actual service delivery, right? So I focused on them things. Cool. Number 4. I moved into my own apartment. So prior to this, I was living in a house share, which is what I mentioned earlier, which is basically a single small room in a house shared with strangers. It was so hard to focus that there was always bullshit going on. So I moved out once I was making about $5K a month. This was a really big pivotal point. I remember like this was like, I can't even, it's like going from like this dark, grungy fucking dungeon looking thing to like heaven, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to paint an image in your head, right? Like it really was, because I went from this like super distracting environment, and it's super unmotivating, to having my entire own apartment, 2-bedroom apartment. And this was the first time, right? This is the first ever time that I had my own place. That was it. Unreal. So for all of you watching this, that should be one of your first goals, 100%, like your big milestone if you haven't already moved out, So if you're living in a house share, or you're living obviously with your parents, for a lot of you guys who are younger, as soon as you turn 18, it obviously depends on you, but from my personal experience in life, everyone's completely different. But for me, that was one of the best things. I moved into my own place. I could focus. I had so much more motivation. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to work even more, right? And there was also, like, when you're living in a house share or just with somebody, there's always these external factors that you can't even avoid. Like if you're living with your parents, right? Your parents only want the best for you in most cases, right? I'm talking generally. In most cases, they only want the best for you. And sometimes, a lot of the time, your parents won't understand what it is that you're doing or you're trying to do. So they might try and talk you out of it, or they might say certain little things that like just fucking ruin your day, And they don't understand, and they don't mean it in a bad way, but like it just fucks up your whole day, and it fucks up your momentum, and you start to question things, and so on, right? So when you're living in your own place, think about it. You have none of that. Not one bit. You wake up whenever you want, you do whatever you want, whenever you want, and it's just incredible. So anyway, like I said, this was, as you can like probably tell by my voice and how enthusiastic I get about this, but yeah, this was a super pivotal point in my journey. So that was number 4. Yes, number 5. Number 5 is I started to hire staff members. Now that I realize there are certain things I can simply outsource, I try to focus on doing only the tasks that I physically had to do, such as content, speaking to people, and making key decisions. Everything else that could be outsourced, hold on, let me click into this. Everything else that could be outsourced, and this gave me the time freedom back, okay? So yeah, this point, does it say how much I was making? I don't know. Also, another bit of context, like bear in mind, this is about like the last 5 years of my life. I'm trying to like summarize in one video and a bunch of tweets. So excuse that if sometimes I go back and forth and I'm like, oh no, this is actually a different time frame. I'm just trying to kind of, make this as an entertainment, informational video. So yeah, at this point, this is when I realized that, okay, there is a certain amount that I can achieve in one day. I have to have more people helping me do these certain things. So there were certain things such as physically like setting the appointment. Like I didn't have to do that, or it's a very important part of the business. So like I can't not do it, but like me physically, I don't need to. I could outsource that. So that was, I think no. The first thing that I outsourced was service delivery. It was paid ads. Oh, this is actually a funny story. So I think it was a guy from Facebook groups, how I found him. bless this fella, right? Some Indian Donny from, from India, duh. Anyway, I found him on a Facebook group. He messaged me the other day. I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'll give it a shot. Paid him like £300 a month or something like that to run my Facebook ads for my clients, right? And the whole idea, obviously, being when you're outsourcing stuff is to kind of give it to this person and then he will manage it. And then, you can oversee it, you can make sure it's running smooth, etc. But the whole idea of you paying somebody to do it for you is so they do it for you. Now this motherfucker, he's a great guy, yeah. He means the best, but oh god, it was a fucking shit show. It was one of the worst things ever. One, I spent £300 a month. I think we've done it for like 2 months, so it was £600, which was a lot of money for me back then. So I like wasted £600, but also he fucked up all of my clients' accounts. He got 2 of my clients' ads accounts banned. Like if you don't know about Facebook ads accounts, it's pretty easy to do. Like if your account is banned, it's a long day. Your client's going to be upset, all this stuff. Which is also why I think OFM is by far the best business model, because you don't have any of these issues, which I guess I can talk about in the end. So anyway, he ruined that. I lost so many clients and I paid him and it was just a shit show. Oh, and on top of that, number 3 or 4 is I had to still oversee him and fix his problems. So it's like I was paying for more problems and losing more money. It was just like the worst experience ever. And that was my first experience of hiring staff members. So as you can imagine, I didn't want to do it no more. I was like, fuck this. I'm way too smart. I'm just going to do it all by myself. Like I can't be giving this much, this many valuable things to these staff members when I don't even know if they're going to do a great job, right? So that was my first experience. But then obviously I started hiring appointment setters and so on and so on. Okay, number 6. So number 6 is here is a long 12-month gap between 0.6 and 0.5. Main reason being is because I was just like, this is where I was learning about how to go from a solopreneur to like a entrepreneur, right? So meaning when you're a solopreneur, you're literally you're a glorified contractor, right? You're just you doing whatever you're selling. You're doing the whole fucking thing, buddy, right? You don't have a business. It's just you sell your time, yeah? Which is what I was transitioning from that to now actually having staff members that I was paying them a monthly wage and commission, and really like actually building a business, a company as such, and I was completely new to this. So that's why there's a 12-month gap here. But yeah, at this point, I was pretty happy with living how I was. I was going on a few holidays here and there. I traveled a little bit, but I was mainly saving a lot of money. And I retired my mum. Yeah, that was pretty nice. So this was, when was it? Fuck knows. It was on my Instagram. It was like 2022, I want to say, or 2020, somewhere around there. Yeah, it was very nice. So yeah, I think that's one of the nicest things you can do for your family, right? I think everyone's story is completely different. Some people are not close to their parents. Some people don't need to retire their parents. Talking about that, actually, a really, really interesting kind of side note. So everybody who's wanting to retire their parents, be careful with how you do it. So again, I didn't know. And I thought that obviously it's going to be the nicest thing to like give my mum a fuck ton of money, pay off all her debts, and she physically does not have to work anymore. And she didn't agree to it. Like, she said no, and she carried on working for like 3 months until she was like, what, fuck this, and she quit. And then she went all in with like, I guess, retirement. So literally doing nothing, work-wise, that is, right? And again, I think there's so many different caveats and so on, but at least for my mum, you got to understand the context here. She immigrated here with just me and her. Her English, I mean, she can speak English, but she doesn't really have like any friends, She doesn't really have, she literally would just speak to me. That is it, yeah? And her partner. And anyway, so when she quit her job, bro, yeah, it's not good. She was quite upset, like very upset. It was a very dark period, and the lesson I want you to take away from this is if you are, or hopefully when you're going to retire your parents, is making sure that they have something to fall back on, not in a sense of like a financial thing, because at that point, obviously, hopefully they shouldn't matter about that. It's more about what are they going to do? Because imagine I'm literally saying to you, bro, I'll give you £1 million today, But the only thing is you cannot do no work. You cannot work in your agency. You cannot do any outreach. You cannot build this. You cannot. It sounds like a good idea until you actually do it for like 2 months and you're like, oh, this is fucking boring. We're all humans. We need a purpose in our life. And when you don't have a purpose and you wake up and you're like, what do I do now then? Yeah, you got a bit crazy, you know? But, you know, don't get me wrong, it wasn't horrible for too long. My mum got so many new hobbies now. But yeah, take that as a lesson, okay? And it's interesting, I hear that now from quite a lot of people. But again, I never knew this was like a potential problem. And also a few more things, because I know a lot of people might be curious about this. And to be honest, I might make another whole video about how I retired my mum. Again, I was fortunate in the state that she didn't have a mortgage. She was literally just renting. She had about £8,000 in debt, like 4K and another 4K, so about 8,000 in total. So not a lot. And it was just in credit cards. The reason for that is because unfortunately my stepdad got into a really bad crash and he was hospitalized for like 2 months, and she would get a taxi because she doesn't drive. She would get a taxi all the way from her house to the hospital back and forth, and it was like £120 each journey. And she'd do that for like, a couple weeks. Anyway, paid off all of that, gave her a lump sum of money up front, and then also I'm sending her money on a monthly basis. I have basically a direct debit to her. So yeah, cool. Anyway, next one, number 7. I started spending on lavish shit. Bottle shows, first Rolex, moved into the largest penthouse in Manchester, I bought an old Porsche, and then some bullshit like personalized number plates and stuff. So yeah, this is when I finally was like, okay, now it's time to like spend some money on myself. Because up until this point, bro, like, I guess you could kind of call the apartment as like a expense, but everything else was technically only just back into the business. So software, staff members, hiring more staff members, paid ads, and so on. And bro, there was a point when I was making like 20,000 a month profit, and I was still shopping at Aldi. I was spending £30 a week, and this is consecutive 20k a month profits, by the way. It wasn't like a fluke, right? And I was still shopping at Aldi. I was spending like £35 a week on like my weekly shop. I'd go home, I'd make my I'd cook all this stuff. If I remember correctly, I had an Insignia, a Vauxhall Insignia. You guys can Google what that is. It was like a 2007 or something. I don't think I had like any designer clothing. Had like clothes from Zara. I don't know. This is just like normal, you know? But the point I'm trying to make is that my goal was so big and it meant so much to me that I was happy to sacrifice everything, and I mean everything, to achieve it. And obviously that goal being to retire my mum. And when I was able to do that, that was the point where in my life when I was obviously pretty financially doing okay, you could call it that. So I was able to achieve that dream, and then now I was able to do whatever the fuck I wanted, which was like buy that Rolex. I went to, was it Trotters or A Jewelers? No, it was A Jewelers. My first Rolex was from A Jewelers. I still have it, to be honest, just for sentimental reasons. What else was it? Let me see. Bottle shows. Yeah, like we started doing some bottle show. I don't even like going out that much. If you watch any of my vlogs, I like, none of them have been me partying, I don't think. I just don't really do it. Yeah, bottle shows, Rolex, moved into the largest penthouse. Yeah, me and my business partner, Harry, we moved into this duplex story penthouse. It was huge. Like you walk in, like you open the front door, and imagine 2-story penthouse, glass from floor to ceiling, and like you can see the whole of the city. Like it was beautiful, bro. Like it was unreal. And I bought a Porsche. It was a Porsche. Are they called Panameras? Yeah, I think the old Porsche Panameras. So not the hybrid ones, but the ones which were just... Oh, actually, I think it might have been diesel even. I was going to say petrol. But anyway, so I bought a Porsche. I bought a personalized number plate. I was just kind of going, fuck it. Like, what can I buy? This is also when I started buying some designer clothes and so on and so on. Number 8, next one. I started going on crazy holidays. So everywhere me and Harry flew, we would rent a supercar. We had like the best hotels, the best rooms. We were just easily spending £500 on dinners, like is what it is. But also here, I started being a bit more conscious on my outside family. When I say outside family, I don't mean like my initial. So my initial was just me and my mum, right? It was my dad, but obviously me and my mum. And then outside the initial was obviously like my auntie, my cousins, and that's it. I don't really have grandparents and so on. So my family is really small. But this is where I started to do it like a lot more, you know? So what I mean is like I bought an Xbox for one of my cousins. I paid for my other cousin to like get her braces done and like, I don't know, just started helping out my family here. And also another thing about this, and by the way, as you can see, none of this so far is about, oh, your money into this crypto, or I started doing Forex and I quadrupled my money. Bruv, like, yeah, some people can do that, but it's a myth. Most people lose their money that way, right? So up until this point, I was just putting money back into the business as much as possible. And this is the part where all of you guys like see on social media, right? Me, all the other big, influencers and all these people, you see us in our supercars and so on. But bro, this is part 8. And this is about 3-4 years into this whole story that I'm giving you guys. So about 3 to 4 years, I was spending £30 a week on my weekly food shop. I was cooking dinners at home. I was living in a shitty little place, all this stuff. So nobody really sees the sacrifice and the hardship, but it's worth it, bro. I'm telling you, it's fucking worth it. So yeah, I started helping my family here. That was pretty nice. Number 9. I got over all of that pretty quick within a year. Then me and Harry moved to Dubai. And then we started purchasing our first supercar. So this is where I started to really be like, holy shit. It started to kick in. Because up until this point, like I saw multiple 6 figures in my bank account, but it's just a number on a screen. It doesn't not make you feel anything. Here's another thing. Like when I first started, I thought that when I hit 10K a month, it was going to be like this whole fucking, like in video games, you get like achievement unlocked, like an Xbox thing. I thought like, it's like some sort of a big moment, but bro, when I made my first over 10K a month, I made like 17K in that month. And I didn't even realize that I hit 10K because it's just another nothing changes, my friend. Like you just carry, or you just get more hungry, you just get more motivated, right? And but when I first started buying these supercars, and none of my cars are leased because you can't really lease here in Dubai. Everything is outright. Same with rent, so you have to pay like 12 months up front, or sometimes you can do 6, but we do 12 months up front. Cars are all bought outright cash. Watches, obviously, as well. And yeah, at this point is when I started to go like, doing all right. But yeah, none of it really means anything either. It's cool. I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I'm very, very happy with it. But I'm telling you, boys, like the real stuff that actually matters is when you can get yourself out of a shitty situation, living in a shitty place, not being happy with your environment, being surrounded with negative like thoughts and people, etc. If you're able to take yourself away from that, that's the real success. And obviously, byproduct of that is being able to help others, aka your family and such, right? I think that's the real success. But I'll talk about this anyway because it is a part of my story. So anyway, I got over all that pretty quick. I moved to Dubai. I started purchasing my first supercars, like my Huracan, Lamborghini Huracan, a Rolls-Royce Ghost, Lamborghini Urus, a couple Aston Martins. It was a DBS Superleggera, DB11. And I started investing into myself again. Things like meal prep, personalized vitamins. That was fucking bullshit. A maid, boxing coach, etc. I tell you what, so number 9, the biggest takeaway that you guys should get, fuck the supercars. Yes, they're cool. Yes, they're fucking fun. Yes. But the biggest one you should focus on here and be excited about is the last part, which is like the things that you can pay for that just make your life that even a little bit better. So like a maid. For example, I have my maid here right now in my house. Bro, like it's the little things such as every single day my bed is made with new sheets, new pillow covers, everything, like fresh. It smells beautiful, right? My clothes are obviously washed like every day. She even cleans my shoes like once a week, right? She even orders my food, like my shopping. It comes to the door. She puts it neatly in the fridge. Like all these little things that I don't have to worry about. Even to the point where like I just wake up, My gym gear is already there, neatly packed. I just get dressed. My gym gear in my bag is already packed in there. I just pick up my bag. I go downstairs. I work out. I do a sauna, steam room. I go swimming pool, and everything's already done. I come upstairs. I throw the dirty clothes in the wash basket, and she takes care of the rest. That is bliss, bro. Like, that's really, really nice. Really nice. And she's a fucking superstar as well. She's the sweetest lady ever. A little side note, literally 2 days ago, I cleared out my shoe collection. I must have thrown away like probably 10, 15 pairs of shoes. I just don't wear a lot of them. And when I say throw away, like I gave them to her and she sent it to her family, which is incredible, right? So anyway, she's a superstar. I love her. So number 10, the next one is I got my mother a house back in the UK. She's happy. So yeah, there was still a stage where she was living in this council estate. The reason why she didn't want to move out sooner is because she was renovating the whole place, and there was a lot of sentimental value. She lived there for, I want to say, like 12 years at the time, 13, 14 years. And, I never understood this until she said it to me, but it makes sense. She was like, because I said, Mum, like, please move out. Like, this place is horrible. And there would literally be like people, neighbors of her getting robbed. Not like break-ins into the house, but the cars. The cars were getting broken into, getting windows smashed. Horrible, horrible place. And I was telling her, like, please move. I'm fucking paying for it. Please move. And she didn't want to because she was renovating the place and she loved it and there was a lot of sentimental value. But yeah, eventually I convinced her. And it was a little, like a retirement island. It's beautiful. Her house is literally like on the beach. So she leaves her back garden, this on the beach. Yeah, beautiful stuff. Yeah, my father's not with us anymore, if you're wondering why I haven't mentioned it, because there's in a tweet. Obviously, I hadn't mentioned it at this point. And then I also, at this point, started donating to charity, specifically kids that are in need back home in Latvia, where I'm from. So I feel like there are different stages in where like you transcend as, I guess, entrepreneur. I think that term is so cringe, but you guys know what I mean. Somebody who makes money. I feel like the first stage is helping yourself. You can't help charities if you are yourself like broke and if you're living paycheck to paycheck. So you first got to help yourself, right? Then you got to help your close like initial circle, which is obviously your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your family. So that's your next step. Then after that is your very close friends, if you are fortunate enough to have them, like your boys who you truly, truly look at as your brothers, right? That's your third one. And then once all of that is done, and only once all of that is done, I feel like you should then be looking at, okay, how can I help people that I don't know, they don't know me, but I just want to help as many humans as possible. And I think that's where charity comes in, right? And that's, where I'm at this point, I've bought the cars, I've got the nice watches, I've got the nice properties. Obviously my mother is very, very happy. My family is very good. They're safe. They have nothing really to complain about other than the fact that they don't have any problems. That is a problem. And yeah, I think at this point, I thought, okay, I want to donate to charity. And also for like some people it's like tax. Like my friend, I live in Dubai. It's not for that reason. So yeah, I just wanted to help. And to me, I thought, okay, there's loads of different charities like homeless people, there's animal shelters. I just, nothing really hit me as much as helping families who have children in need, because kids are the future. So I think it's so important to give back. It's so important. And like I said there, is like I thought, what is going to have the biggest impact? And I feel like helping those families. And the charity that I work with is called Paldies, or Palīdzēsim in Latvian. It means help, basically, or it will help. And yeah, they're more than, it's not like a foster home. It's more like a place where they rehabilitate families who have children in need, whether it's a mental disability or a physical disability. They do a lot of campaigns for maybe a specific child that needs a surgery or a specific wheelchair, whatever it might be. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful charity. And the way it came about as well, they've been doing it for about 15 years. And the way it came about was very, very natural. This lady just happened to help a friend of hers, and she enjoyed it so much and she found a lot of fulfillment from it. And then she helped another one and loads of people started coming to her and she realized that a lot of people need help. And that's kind of how it started. Plus it's obviously back home in Latvia, so it's very close to my heart. That's where I'm from. And in Latvia, you don't really get a lot of support. You don't really get government helping you that much because there's not a whole lot of money in the government in the first place. So boys, that brings us to the end of the road. Yeah. And the last part of the tweet says, and pretty much this brings us up to date. All of this to say, bro, you reading this, you will achieve everything you want, but it all starts with step number 1. And step number 1 was investing into mentors and coaches if you can, because that is going to fast track your success, right? If you just learn from somebody who already has done what you want to do, they'll be able to help you bypassing and avoiding all the mistakes that you're probably going to enjoy in the journey, right? So all that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this on Twitter, please follow me. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, DM me. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.